Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another Water Tanks review. This time we are looking at the Muscles from Moscow, the ISU-152 Tier 8 Russian tank destroyer. I'll do my normal thing, I'll have a look at the line, crew skills, modules, all that good stuff, and then I'll give a general impression of the tank. So we'll start by having a look at the old line. I went into the T-34. So I think I actually free experienced my way to the ISU-85. The line up to this was actually a real joy to play. The ISU-85 got this gun, which was pretty handy. The ISU-100, however, was an absolute monster. Where is it? And it got this 390 average damage at tier 6. Is kind of disgusting. But I really enjoyed this tank. I only ever got second class in it, apparently, I swear. I had some really huge games in this tank. I think this is sort of like the Hellcat in certain ways, because it's one of these tanks that people just play and play and play. Where is it? ISU-100. Yeah, 1200 average damage in a tier 6 tank. 750 average experience per game. Yeah, really good tank. The tier 7, the old ISU-152, I thought was probably one of the worst tanks I've ever played. Pretty much it's exactly the same as the ISU, but the ISU actually has a good gun. All the guns on this tank are crap. It gets this at tier 7, which is basically the gun the IS-6 gets. This has much better DPM than the IS-6's gun, and the aiming time is better. However, you are still a tier 7 tank destroyer with no... it's not a slow tank, but its traverse speed is awful. It's got no armour, anything can go through the front, even the gun mantle on this is testy. And at tier 7, you're not, it's got decent camo, these tanks, but it's not exceptional. And unless, camo's great, but you can't just rely on camo as a defence unless you're the Balsig Waffle Traeger, which has a turret, which, makes up for that. But this is a fixed gun. And the fixed gun on this tank isn't very good. What you can do is you can use the stock 152, which is basically a derp gun, but it's got 0.5 accuracy and 3.3 rounds a minute, which means that goes all over the place, and you can hit stuff really for like 700 damage, but you need to be firing heat if you want to do reliable damage. It's got such a huge reload that it's so slow that it can't get anywhere. I mean, the real problem with this tank is that it's fine having no armour and bad camo if you have the speed and maneuverability to get in and out of situations. This tank just doesn't. I hated it. I really did. Ironically, this is pretty much the same tank, but it gets the legendary BL-10, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But this, I think, is I don't want to say horrifically overpowered, but I really think it's really stupid at tier 8. And I'll kind of go into why in a minute. Got 2,200 average damage a game in it at tier 8. It's just, as you can see, I don't actually even have 6th sense yet, which for a tank that relies on camo is kind of crucial. Anyway, its stats: 1,000 health, yeah, kind of meh. 50 tons, 700 horsepower engine. This thing's actually pretty quick in a straight line, 43 kilometers an hour, and it will get there, so it's pretty nippy. However, 21 traverse speed is awful. This thing takes ages to spin around. The armour at the front is 90, armour at the side is 90, and the armour at the back is 60. Now, the frontal armour on this is crap, really. You get all sorts of bounces from all sorts of places on this tank. Wait, did I just say you get all sorts of bounces? Sorry, long day. You get pretty much no bounces. The gun mantle isn't bad. That will bounce sometimes. If they catch you there, see, that's got quite a nice angle, this plate here. But I mean, if you look at the essentially, if they shoot you anywhere from to here, this bit here is the only bit that's going to bounce. The sidearm is actually pretty good at 90, and the replay I show you, you can see that I kind of make the sidearm work for me. I mean, let's not messing around. Let's get on to what we really want to see. It's the gun, right? The BL-10, 3.41 rounds per minute. Now, seeing as this is basically the gun that the tier 9 and 10 tanks get, well, and I knew, I mean, I've been playing this game for quite a while, and I'm reasonably knowledgeable about most of the tanks. Like, I knew the ISU got this gun, But I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh well, I'm sure that it gets the gun, but does it actually get the gun? Because it's it's much much it's not going to get the same gun that the tier 10 gets. No, it kind of does actually. The thing that really blew me away was how fast this thing fires. The tier 10 gets 3.6 rounds a minute. This gets 3.4. And I was thinking that like the tier 10 would get 1 or maybe even 2 more rounds per minute, but no, it really doesn't. So I was amazed at how fast this thing fired and like the DPM you could put out with this thing, because it really is just really stupid. 286 pen at tier 8. That's going to go through pretty much every tier 8 and 9 tank from the front. Yeah, not much more I can say about that. APCR's 329. It's barely. I carry 3. I have never used any of them. 750 average damage. Serious alpha. That's what this thing is known for. 0.41 accuracy. That is not as bad as it looks. Sometimes it does go way off target and you can feel it, but I always feel like when a gun is inaccurate, it's inaccurate. So when it misses, you're like, okay, it's an inaccurate gun. Whereas if you get a gun with 0.35 accuracy or 0.34 and that misses, you get more annoyed because it's like, this is supposed to be accurate. So I think it's more of a mental thing. So there have been clutch shots with this thing that I have missed due to RNG, but stuff happens. And a 3.4 aiming time, which is pretty crushing, but when you've got a gun this big on a tier 8 tank, it's what's going to happen. View range is 370, not great, but it's not bad either. 625 signal range, pretty standard. For the crew skills, I would the only defense this tank has is its camo. And that kind of continues into the 9 and 10. The 9 and 10 have much better armor, and they can actually bounce some stuff. This doesn't bounce stuff, so its only defense is its camo. So I really went for that first. I'm still working on 6th Sense, so I'll get there eventually. After that, normally I would say you always want to take repairs. So on the E3, you want to take repairs and stuff like that. Would I take repairs on this? For the tier 10, yes, probably. For the tier 9, yeah, probably. For this, I don't think I would, because if you get into a position where you need repairs, you're already dead, because everything just pens you. So, I would rather play way more cautiously and just take camo. After this, I would take specific skills. Clutch braking, I think, is pretty vital. Actually, yeah, I don't know. It's actually pretty up in the air, maybe, between specific skills and Brothers in Arms, because getting the reload time down on this and the accuracy increase is a big deal. So, I don't know, it's one of these tanks where it can kind of go either way, but I definitely recommend camo before anything else. In terms of equipment, I didn't want to buy more improved vents, so I just stuck some optics on there, and it has worked out for me. I would probably take improved vents, but I'm trying to save up for another tank, so I don't really want to go buying this when I could just use optics instead. Gun lane drive essential, and large caliber ammo essential. The only one that isn't essential, isn't required, I would say, are these ones. And is vents for optics. You can kind of switch that around. In terms of the ammo, I normally say always load some explosive shells. However, most of the things you're going to be facing, 286 penetration is more than enough to go through any tier 9 or 8 tank almost all the time. Tier 10s, if you're in a position where you're having to reset a cap against a tier 10, then I mean no one can expect you to really win that anyway. So because you'll fire and then you'll get obliterated because you've only got 1,000 health, and they'll get, if it's a heavy, they'll get 2 shots off, and there's no guarantee you're going to pen them from the front anyway. So I wouldn't take explosive on most tank destroyers. Equipment, pretty standard. Remove speed governors might be an idea. I haven't been set on fire in this thing ever. I haven't played that many games with it, but I haven't been set on fire yet, so I haven't really seen much of a need for that. So again, down to you guys. Remove speed governor maybe just to help with the traverse speed maybe, but again, up to you guys. General impressions of the tank. I've already kind of given you some, but I'll kind of just go on to say that I'm really enjoying this tank. The reason why I decided to do this now is because I just did a very good game. as you can see. Mastery. I've actually, surprisingly, I didn't find it too hard to get the mastery on this tank. I thought it was going to be really, really difficult. I thought you'd have to, because of how good this gun is, I thought you'd have to be on a map like Malinovka and be sat in a bush and just get the opportunity to fire at tier 10s all game. But as you can see from here, these are all tier 8 tanks. When I got my mastery, I did get a Radley Walters Top Gun Steel Ball and high caliber. So you know, it was a really, really good game. I think I got I didn't actually get a lot of spotting, but I bounced a lot of shots. But yeah, so it was a good game, but I thought surprisingly easy to get a mastery on this tank. Yeah, so general impressions about it. Is it as overpowered as everyone seems to think? Yeah, I think so. I think that when it's in the position where it can sit at the back and do damage, it's really stupid. If you can get into a position, as I said, where you're not spotted and you've got a vantage point and you can see enemy tanks and almost at any range, because with the recent kind of changes to gun accuracy, you can still hit shots reliably at like 400 meters. So yeah, you get into a position where you can make your camo work, and you can just fire at tanks. And when I say fire at tanks, I mean with 286 pen, that's literally what you can do. Like tier 8 and 9 tanks, some tier 9 heavies you'll have trouble with the turrets at the front, and maybe the upper plate sometimes. But tier 8 tanks, you can literally just fire at the tank, and you will go in, and you'll hit them for 750 average, which is huge. So in that case, it's I think it's really overpowered. However, there are certain maps where you really can't do much in this tank, because if you get spotted, you'll just get lit up like instantly, because you're such a huge prio target, and you don't really have the speed or the armor to save yourself. So if you make a mistake in this and get spotted early, you're in for some real trouble. Having said that, it does. I'm pretty sure that the average roll 2 hits every tier 8 tank. I believe the tier 8 tank with the most health would be the Tiger 2. Where is it? Tiger 2. I think that's 1600 health. No, 1500 health. Yep. So average roll is 750. 2 of those 1500 health. So you will 2 hit pretty much every tier 8 tank. There might be some I've forgotten that have more than 1500 health, but I don't think so. And again, the reload time isn't that bad. So you can really make that work. The thing about this tank as well is that you can really scare people. Like you can push onto people, and they will really shit themselves because they really don't want to get hit by this. And I'll show you why in a minute. Yeah. So play it carefully, but you will just end up in positions where you can just sit somewhere and just go derp, derp. If you land 3 shots with this, you've done over 2k damage. It's I don't know. Certain maps it really is painful, but other maps it just isn't hard. You just sit somewhere and just shoot at stuff. Anyway, the replay I've actually got for you guys, I have 2 in fact. They're both mastery games. I've had a couple of mastery games. These are the ones that really stuck out for me. One of them is this one that I just had just now. Is actually on Erenburg. Do I mean Erenburg? No, Himmelsdorf. Sorry, not Erenburg. Yeah, it's on Himmelsdorf. And you're thinking, well, and that's one of the maps where this is not a great tank. Yeah, because it struggles with city maps. But if you can still make it work pretty nicely, because you can come around corners and just derp people, and then reverse back again. The other one is on Erenburg, which is a game where you see more of the camo side of it coming in, and all that good stuff. Anyway, on with the replays. So here we go. Winter Himmelsdorf. Pretty good matchup. Tier 8. Again, I normally talk about where Himmelsdorf. There's going to be a fight here. There's going to be a fight up here, and there's going to be some enemy tanks there. In this tank, it doesn't. You're not going to make this work with no armor in this tank, so don't go here. Here's not. It might be an idea depending on what you think would send up there, because you do have some gun depression in this tank. But again, it's just, I'd rather try and sit here and use the long sight lines to kind of obliterate anything up here. So that's what I end up doing. Also, because they've got a platoon, no, not a platoon of T-28s, sorry. They have 2 T-28s, and I'm assuming they're going to be down there as well. And they're pretty decent threats to the team. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. We are lacking. I mean, they've got a better team than us. That guy in the 110, this is a beautiful map for him to really carry on. And I'm, apart from the 88, I'm really the only decent player on our team, which is, and it is not an easy tank to carry with, because you really need other people to spot stuff for you. Like, there are tanks that do damage, and then there are tanks that carry, and they're not really the same thing. So you want to, ideally to carry, you need a nice combination of speed, armor, and DPM. This has speed, DPM, but no armor. So you can't take hits when you need to, particularly because you've got that fixed turret. It just doesn't work out as well as you'd like it to sometimes. So I'm coming back over here. Again, like, the map isn't really a bit. I know there's not many people going up here, but me going up there is suicide. So it's not too hard to kind of to see where you need to go in this tank. So yeah, here we go, Mr. KV4 poking around the corner. I'm moving to a slightly better spot so I can get shots on him. Now notice this is basically abusing my the draw distance compared to his view distance. So the Type 58 is behind the corner, he can't see me. For the KV4, he's 480 meters away, 471 meters away. He can't see me, whereas I can see him, and that's really what a tank destroyer is about. It's abusing that draw distance. That does go in, I find out later, which was pretty lucky, because that was a KV4, which is not easy to pen from range, unless you can kind of really snipe at it, and with this gun you don't snipe, you just sort of shoot at stuff. Yeah, so that I was lucky to go in, but 286 pen, I mean, again, like, if the shell hits the tank, it's going to go in. There you can see he's lost about 750 health. And I'm waiting for him just to come. I'm trying to get a shot on him. He pokes out. I fire. Shell misses. It was pretty well aimed. I couldn't have done much better than that. See the T25-2 moving across. Try and move to maybe get a finishing shot on him. He gets behind the building. Doesn't quite pull off. I noticed at this point on the map that this is a problem. That KV5. Actually, maybe it's not a problem. The KV5 is inside of the buildings. Oh, he just died. So there we go. It's almost like I'm psychic. So yeah, it was a problem. That was a lucky shot. The reason why I fired then is because the KV4 pulled out and he fired at, I believe it was our T49 or the T35-84 there. And I knew that the second that he fired, he was going to reverse, so I wouldn't get a shot. So I was just basically waited, he fired, and so before he reversed I just fired a random shot. Luckily the gun didn't, I was quite lucky that hit. And sometimes you just got to take snapshots like that when, you may as well, you're not going to lose anything, there was nothing running up on me that I couldn't deal with. And now we push up onto the Type 58. Now at this point I'm being quite aggressive because I really want to get to here and shoot down this line to try and help our team a little bit. Type 58 goes down. Now that T28 I see is coming towards me. So what I want to do now is basically make it so he is scared to come around this corner. No flies on this guy. He didn't want to do that, and I don't really blame him either. He's getting shot in the back, so really all I need to do is just sit here and just be a threat. Make it so he can't turn around, because if he does, he'll be in trouble. He's only got the small gun, I notice. The IS only takes 291 damage from him. He's only got the small gun, so I'm not really bothered. Again, this is this tank. Aim at the upper plate, derp, just fire. Just whatever. Upper plate of pretty much anything, you're just going to go in. Now, as I look around this corner, I notice that these guys are not looking at me right now, so I'm okay to take a shot. I will probably take a shot in return, but again that doesn't really matter. So I aim at this KV-1S. As you can see, shell goes absolutely nowhere. He was 220 meters away, I aimed in, shell just missed. Now that was lucky. I think I hit my gun mantle. Yeah, so that shows the gun mantle on this thing can actually bounce stuff. I think that it's spaced armor, so I believe that was like a critical hit, like a penetrating non-damage shot. See, now they know that I'm here, that I cannot go around this corner again because I will get tracked and just lit up. But this T-28 prototype right here, as you can see, he's making them turn around. They have to turn around to deal with him now, and that's what they start to do. Now, I still can't see the 110, but again, the stars are kind of aligning. This IS is rolling forward to, and he's going to spot the 110 for me, and there he is. The 110 is not looking at me, he's looking at the IS, and sadly the IS dies. But what I do, I can take my time, and again, to the side of his turret, straight in. That's a pathetic roll. That's way under what that's like, this gun rolls for 750, and I just rolled for 589. That's almost 200 below my average roll. However, this guy only has 1450 health, and he already had some health taken off him. So as I was rolling onto this guy, I knew that I only needed 2 hits. Now he's going to get a shot into me, and I don't really care. I try and angle a bit, but I know it's not going to happen. He just puts up, see, you know, this thing just doesn't bounce ever. See, now this guy is a good player. The reason why I didn't drive up to him is because I know he's going to. I'm reversing now. It's because the only way he can live. As you can see, my aim time is very near. My load time, sorry, is very nearly up. The only way he's going to live is if he gets beside me. Okay, because if he tries to run around there, he's not going to have the time. So he starts to drive towards me to do just that, but I'm reversing away from him. Not going to let him. And I hold my shot until I know I'm going to pen. Right there, bam. You see, he's got a pike nose like the IS-3. As soon as he opened up that side of his tank to me, you know, like he reduced. I mean, and that's what he should have done. He needed to wiggle, but with this tank, it's just not going to work for him. He tried to wiggle. I just anticipated his wiggle. Waited until that side, the front side of his tank, the angle became shallow, and just fired. Now I'm moving back into position because I didn't know where the T-29 was aiming. Moving behind this tank. Now I've got a choice. I can shoot the Cromwell up there or the T-29. Now, the Cromwell I know is from that range is going to have trouble penning me. As he pens me. Right there. Cromwell, is Cromwell tier 5 or tier 6? I've got the tiers turned off for some reason. But again, you know, it's just penning me from that far away. And he shot me from there, and he hit the roof of my turret at that angle. At this sort of angle. So, yeah, again. Anyway, I can see the back of that T-29. There's a nice little gap. Bam, put him in through there. Cromwell shoots me again in the observation device. But saves our T-28 prototype there, finishing off the T-29. 4 kills, 2.6k damage. Again, the Cromwell's kind of bouncing now. See, this is where the accuracy of this gun is actually alright. 370 meters. I can see the top half of his tank. Blap. Sometimes it does go straight down the middle. It's not as trollish as you'd think. I can see that AMX moving along the top there, and you know, I think, oh well, I'm not going to get a shot on anything else anytime soon. So I see where he's going. I try and pre-aim. That was a pretty well-aimed shot, but the shot went high. So what can you do? Now what I've noticed is there's that T-28 right there, and he's a pretty good player. So yeah, so I start pinging him because I want the T-28 prototype, so me and him can basically pincer this guy. He's very slow to turn around, so if we're coming in from both angles, here and here, he's going to have real trouble. Now, I can't see which way he's facing right now. I think he's moving towards me, which is why I stop here and I wait, because I don't really want to roll onto him, because he will just kill me with 2 shots. So I'm pinging it for the T-28. T-28 doesn't really seem to be in the mood, so I just think, okay, fuck it. You know, I'll take my chances. Luckily for me, and not so luckily for the T-28, the guy's actually turned around and is facing the other way. So what I do, now pay attention to where I aim here. You see right there, the lower part of the back of his tank. Set him on fire. Pretty much almost every time you'll set that on fire. I did take that shot quickly. The reason why I could have aimed and really made sure I set him on fire. But the reason why I took that shot so quickly is because this guy doesn't even, it doesn't matter if I set him on fire, because my fire isn't going to kill him in 1 hit. My shot and the fire won't kill him. If he doesn't have a fire extinguisher, it would, but he's good. I mean, I've seen his stats. He's good. He's going to have a fire extinguisher on the tank. And the reason why I fired early is because basically I wanted to give him the least amount of time to react. I need 2 shots to kill him. So if I sit there and take 2-3 seconds to aim, then fire, that's 2-3 more seconds I've wasted that I could have got my shot off. And as you can see, it's basically I need to reload before he turns around. So I go wide, and I just push into the side of his tank so he can't turn to look at me anymore. Reload, get a shot in. Top gun, 4k damage now. And now we're kind of in trouble. The Lerva is doing absolutely fucking nothing. The Indenpanzer, I mean, I think the Lerva's actually AFK. I don't know what he's doing, but like, there's no reason for him to be over there. So I now have an AMX to deal with, and the Indenpanzer is going up on the hill. So now, I'm always quite aggressive in these situations. When you're outnumbered, it's always best to be aggressive, but within reason. Because if I just camped here and kind of waited around this corner, I know the Jagdpanzer's probably come back down here now, and basically I want to make it a 1v1 followed by another 1v1 rather than a 1v2. Does that make sense? So even if I take a hit from this guy, which I'm perfectly happy with doing, at least like I will take a hit from him and then I will probably kill him. I think. How much health was he on? I think I knew how much health he was on earlier, so I gauged that my taking damage was worth me killing him. Anyway, so we carry on, and as I was saying, again, you know, I'm trying to make it into a 1v1 followed by another 1v1 other than a 1v2. So I made the decision to bite the bullet and I start to move around this corner. Now I know the AMX is going to be there staring at me, waiting for me, and lo and behold, he is. He tracks me. That was pretty lucky because he didn't do any damage, but kind of unlucky because he tracked me. And again, I don't have repairs on this thing, so yeah. Now I really want to make this shot count because I really cannot have this bounce because that would be bad. And the shot goes very low. I don't know if you saw that, but it was lucky because at this range it's kind of hard to miss. Oh, and there's the Jagdpanzer. Oh dear. Okay, so I use that AMX as cover from the Jagdpanzer. And again, it's an AMX, and it's got a very fast firing gun, but very low alpha, which is why I move around before I'm loaded because I don't want him to sneak around the corner. I can't really see what he's doing because of the smoke. Gets a shot into me. I'm very okay with that because now I'm free to do this. I bounce off of his fucking gun mantle. Sometimes, World of Tanks, guys, you can do everything right. You can outplay people. You can make all the calculations in your head, and then you can bounce off of a tier 6 tank destroyer with 268 pen from 129 meters. Yeah, it's World of Tanks. It's what happens in this game. It's annoying, but what you can't let it do is let you go on tilt. And what I mean is, when that happens, you get angry and you start to do stupid stuff and make stupid decisions. Now, I kind of, you know, shake my head a bit and I'm like, wow, what the fuck just happened there? Quite lucky because that shot bounces because he hits the top of my tank. And so what I do now is I want to kill this guy. I want to get another shot. So now this thing actually has decent armor on the sides. It has 90 armor on the sides. I think that guy has 132 pen on his gun. I seem to remember something like that. Anyway, it's very low. So I start to side scrape. Now the problem with side scraping is you get your tracks blown off a lot, which is what just happened there. And I don't have repairs, so it takes me ages to fix my tracks. It bounces off the side of me again. You can see the DPM on that tank is lethal. Tracks me again. Now we play the waiting game. You can move forward a bit. Bounces off my side yet again. I'm bricking it at this point. I'm literally screaming at this Indenpanzer to get to me faster. That actually manages to pen me and do damage there, but luckily I repair my tracks. I move around the corner. Now me side scraping meant that this guy was still interested in me, and it kept him at a range where he wasn't going to rush me and just kill me. Now I can't go round onto him here because he will because I am a fixed tank. I'll have to come round the corner and he'll just shoot the inside of my tank there as I do it. So I need to wait until he isn't looking at me. And Indenpanzer, God bless him, provides just the right thing that I need. I'm watching this guy round the corner. As you can see, I see he starts to turn around. Indenpanzer fires. Take my time, finish him off. Thank God for that. 8 kills, 4.8k damage, but as you can see I did a bit more damage. I think I did 5.8k or something with some blind shots. Yeah, and that's kind of how this tank rolls. Welcome to Erenburg. This map used to be awful, I think I've said this before, but it's not so awful now, so it's fine. Actually a really good map for this tank now. Lots of kind of long sight lines, lots of bushes, places you can go into cover, lots of hills you can kind of roll up and hide behind, so it's pretty good. The other team is doing pretty well. They've got a KV5 with a very good score and an IS-6, which is clearly a re-roll account as they're playing together. So they're the two I really need to watch out for. And the IS-6 is actually my bane in the end of this game. We actually end up losing this, but it was actually another mastery for me. Mastery on a loss is normally pretty hard to come by. But yeah, I do all I can. I could have done better at the end, I have to say, but hey, it's what happens. So there's quite a lot of tanks going on this side of the map, which is fine. I'm alright to go over here. We've got myself and Bramwolf and a Black Prince and some other tanks. I always prefer to try and help the weaker flank when I can. However, sometimes it's better just to say fuck it and just support the strongest flank, because that one will win. But this tank isn't really a pushing tank. This is much more of a defensive tank. This is a tank where you pick a position and hold it, and then derp everything that comes anywhere near you. And you kind of see that quite a lot. So not having Sixth Sense in this tank is really quite a handicap, because knowing when you've been spotted is really helpful. Because right now the only way you know when you've been spotted in this tank is when you get shot. And as you've only got 1,000 health, getting shot is not something that you want to happen. So kind of just moving for position. I'm kind of staying on top of this hill to give myself some decent sight lines. As their scout, he pokes out just a little bit. My shell goes nowhere. Again, happens on this tank. It comes with the fact that it's got 286 pen and 750 average damage. So you take the good with the bad. It can be annoying sometimes, but hey. Move up a little bit more as the rest of my team is doing so. I can see there are a couple of tanks in the middle, and I get some spots on them. KV-13, staying still for a moment too long. 776 damage, wipe him off the map. I think the guy to my left, I think the Object 416 hit him there as well. Good teamwork. Have a quick look to the right to make sure nothing too bad's happening. Sadly, we're getting slaughtered on the left side of the map. They're just pushing right along the one line, which is probably the way to do it. M7, make you run up through the trees. Take a swing at him. Probably was never going to hit, but worth it. Again, the reload on this gun is really not as long as I thought it would be. I really think I was really expecting longer. And I don't even have vents, so hey. You can see Bramwell's doing a good job of holding the back over there. Sadly, our left side of the map has completely failed. So many of our tanks went over there, and they managed to die to... yeah, we're barely 3 minutes in. We've already lost half of our team. Like, it's just blows my mind, really. And the things we've lost, we've lost like a T-32, a black, Black Prince IS. It's just whatever. Can't let the rage get to you. Anyway, so I move back into a position where I can watch this bridge. Notice I'm the only one. I put myself in Bramwell for coordinating. I said, you stay up there and hold them back, and I'll try and do something about this. So moving into a position where I can watch the bridge, which is really all I can do now. So I get myself some nice cover, and I wait here. And now the waiting game begins, and this is what I mean by the ISUs. Just a patient. You've got to be quite patient with this tank. Get somewhere where they're going to show up eventually, and yeah, just chill out basically. GW Panther at the bottom of the map there, very wisely moving back. Yeah, and now yeah, but essentially just wait. Assuming that some of them might have gone back to defend, but generally, as you can see, most will go for the cap. So that definitely would have got me spotted. I'm quite lucky that missed. I can just see the sliver of the ISU-152. Then he disappears. That's kind of annoying. So I relocate myself slightly to make better use of the trees. Everyone else gets spotted in the middle. Can't do anything about that right now. I've got bigger fish to fry. Move through the trees again, just so I can peek through them. Don't really care about knocking one down. And there's the tank. And Very lucky shot, very lucky roll, 840, that's huge. And that was really pretty clutch. I really needed that. I'm surprised that shot hit, and I'm surprised it rolled that high, basically. Really lucky that it did, though. Again, moving forward a bit, just so I can see the bridge. Here comes the Panzer. Ouch. Take a hit from him, probably always going to happen, but it's sometimes, you know, this tank, it's the risk you have to take. You know, you will sometimes just have to trade hits with stuff. You know, it sucks, but it's kind of how it is. So again, still watching the cap. I don't know where the KV5 or the AT-15 are. The rest of my team has moved back to help me. Pretty decent idea actually, trying to stick together now that, I mean, we were outnumbered pretty heavily. But I've kind of evened the odds and kind of wasted quite a lot of their team at this point. And there's the AT-15. Now, because he's there, I have to worry about the KV-5, the IS-6 and the KV-1S have been spotted. The KV-5 is the only one that is unspotted. He is a good player, he knows I'm here, so I don't expect him to come rolling across the bridge merrily. AT-15 in the middle of the map, so I know that I'm pretty sure at this point the KV-5 is not over here. It was an educated guess, but it's kind of you know, some of the ones you have to make. AT-15. Now this thing, British tank destroyers, unless you could snipe their weak spots, have got really strong armour, so I hold my shot until I can see the side of his tank, put a round in. Again, the shot goes way off centre, kind of lucky that hit, but you're kind of lucky every time it hits when you're shooting at stuff like, you know, about this far away. So reloading, again shows me the side of his tank, wipe him off the map. 4 kills, 4.5k damage. Now I can see the KV-5, easily one of the biggest threats left. Him and the IS-6, definitely, you know, my two biggest problems right now. KV-5 does have pretty good armour, however, sadly for him, not good enough to deal with this gun. 641, wipe him off the map. I needed to fire quickly there because he was pulling behind the hill, just as it happens. So now at this point I'm saying, okay, we have an RT, myself and Bramwolf have an RT, a Tiger 1 who has shown himself to be not very good against a KV-1S and an IS-6. And he's moving on to KV-1S, as he should be doing really. He does take a hit from him sadly, which is unlucky, but KV-1S really shouldn't really get penned that easily. And he gets killed by the RT, which is unfortunate, but happens sometimes. Now I'm rushing to get into position of this Tiger 1. That's why I said in the last replay, don't get into a position where he can 1v1 the Tiger and then 1v1 me. We need to both attack him at the same time. But again, I can't expect, you know, everyone to understand this, even if they do have. Well, to be fair, he hasn't really played that many games, so he does get a hit into him, which is very lucky. And I was praying for him to get one more shot away, because one more shot away brings him within the range of my average roll. But he doesn't. I don't know. I don't think he even fires. He's just, I don't know. So now the IS-6 has just fired. I need to make the most of this. I really do. IS-6 has troll armor at the best of times. That was not a great shot by me, I'll be honest. But now, I mean, the problem is here, what I should have done is rolled over the hill at the very top, fired and reversed. If I'd done that, I probably would have won the game. However, probably is certainly not definitely, because this guy needs 2 hits to kill me. This tank is not very fast when reversing, so what would have happened is that I probably would have rolled over, I would have hit him, he would have hit me back, and I'm on 520 health, he rolls for about 390, you know, so that would take me down to, you know, 250-ish health or however much. So then we both be on 1 hit for each other. Now the problem with that is that he is then at an advantage because he has the turret. He's faster, and just generally it wouldn't end well for me. It really wouldn't. This is not a tank you want to 1v1 with. So I try and rush him. He does ammo rack me, but because I tried to charge him, he gets behind me, and that was really my bad. And I was never. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I was ever going to win that. As soon as the Tiger died, it was kind of over. If the Tiger had got one more hit into him, as you can see, he had 179 health left at the end of a game. The Tiger rolls for 220, but somehow the Tiger, I don't know. I won't bitch about my team, but yeah, when their platoon can get 7 kills between them, and then our platoon also gets 7 kills, but their team was just better than ours. We even had a fucking platoon, a T-32 and a KV-4 that managed to accomplish nothing. But anyway, rant rave. So here we go, guys, back in the garage. I do like this tank. I think that on certain maps it's just going to get screwed over by just how the maps are designed and the fact that its camo is its only defense. But in the positions where it can get somewhere into a good vantage spot and just fire at stuff, it really just eviscerates teams. Like, it's horrific. Yes, that's about it. I definitely recommend this line in general. It does have one real... I hated the ISU-152, this one. I couldn't stand this tank. However, the nice thing about this line is that this is a bit of a grind. I mean, I actually had a lot of free experience saved up anyway, so I was able to buy the BL10 pretty much off the bat. I had to play a couple of games, and it was awful with this, but you do what you do. But the nice thing about this line, as I said, once you unlock the BL10 here, it's already unlocked for the 704, and tier 9 grinds are famously awful. 704 is really not. You unlock everything before, all you need is the tracks. 23k experience. The bad thing though, is because it doesn't have much to unlock, is you need 301,000 experience to get to the object 268. Now that's not really all that bad, because you say, oh, tank, this tank's a grind, that tank's a grind. No. It is a grind. It's a long way. However, it's an enjoyable grind. The 704 is a monstrous tank. You're getting the chance to shoot tier 10s with 286 penetration. It gets a better version of the one before. It's got less aiming time. It's more accurate. It's got more DPM. This tank actually has some armor. For example, you can actually bounce stuff from the front for the slope. It's quicker, turns faster. So it's basically better than this tank in every single way. But still, this tank in certain situations is horrifically overpowered, and really does crush things. But then most tanks in certain situations, the situations they're made for, are really strong. Do I think it's overpowered? I feel like it could maybe do with less alpha and more better fire rate, because slapping stuff for 800 damage at tier 8 is kind of dumb, but it does pay for having this gun, because again, slow traverse, no armor, not that quick on its feet. Camo is okay, not alright. It also has some gun depression. I believe it's got -6 degrees of gun depression, which is pretty Russian, so it's not great, but it's there. You can use it when you need to. Anyway, guys, I think that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't seen my video on the Carl, you need to go check that out right now, because this thing is an absolute monster. Anyway, thanks very much, and I'll see you guys next time.